evening, ladies and gentlemen. Καλώς ορίσατε στην εκπομπή μας Faces. Tonight I have Mr. ZINAR DEMENI. Yes, welcome to Faces.
Thank you.
Just before we go to the main, subject, would you like to give us a little bit of information about yourself? I mean, who you are, where you born, and what do you represent?
Well, my name is ZINAR DEMENI. I am a Kurd from Bakur, we say, which is a part occupied by the Turkish state. I came to live in UK after the military coup in 1980, and since that I have been active in trying to promote the Kurdish cause and the Kurdish questions in UK and internationally. I was one of the first person who set up the Kurdish community organizations in UK, and even during the 90s and 90s I had the privilege of meeting many Greeks and Greek Cypriots, which we worked together quite closely during those years. At the moment I am Kurdistan National Congress Foreign Affairs UK spokesperson in UK. So my role is to coordinate the work on behalf of the Kurds and create more awareness in UK about the general situation in Kurdistan. The situation is quite serious, very, very bad, you could say. When I came to this country in 1980 after military coup, I thought the situation was worse then. Then we went through 1990, where there was a huge increase in the military conflicts. According to even Turkish state's own parliamentary investigations, 4,000 villages were razed to the ground by the Turkish states. It's called scorched earth policies. Basically what they were trying to do is to dry the sea, catch the fish. So you drive the people away from the homeland, and then you are able to eradicate the guerrilla movements in the area. So we thought that was worse. But then today, since 2015, what we've seen is now the total destructions of the towns and the cities now by the Turkish states. Now, since 2015, we've had the destructions of two major cities in Turkish Kurdistan. The center of Diyarbakir, which is the biggest city in Kurdish region in Turkey. The center of the city called Suri, it's under the UNESCO heritage protections as well. These parties have been destroyed totally, and then it's been bulldozed. And as similar situation, we had about 7 towns had a similar fate, been razed to the ground. And still, despite this, because Turkey is a member of NATO, wanted to join the EU, good partners of the West in many occasions, being the military post against the Soviet Union during the Cold War era. The West has kept a total blind eye on these very, very serious human rights violations and crime against humanity. So my role is basically to trying to promote and tell people what has been going on, and also trying to create a better unity amongst the Kurdish political organizations, as well as bring a Kurdish community politically together to be more active.
Mm-hmm. Do you have plenty of communities here? I mean, like organizations, Kurdish organizations in England?
Yes.
What is the population of Kurds here?
The population, we think, is something like between 150,000 to 200,000 in UK. Mm-hmm. Until last year, most of the Kurdish organizations were based in London. I'm really pleased to say that since last year we have managed to expand our movements to the whole of the UK. As a result of that one, We have gotten now 9 assemblies in different regions in the UK, and this gives us an opportunity to tell people at the even local level about the seriousness of the situations and the Turkish brutalities, and worldwide even the situation in Syria, in Iraq, and in Iran as well. So we are divided between 4 different countries, occupied by 4 different countries. And as I said earlier, as a result of the political interest, the West have always kept a blind eye, but there is a serious awareness and a serious support amongst the British public in UK as well at the moment, which is building up. But this is not enough, so we really need to work harder trying to get this more united and more effective. If you look at the Palestinians and a lot of other movements, you could see a much broader solidarity, but Kurdish question is much bigger and much more internationalized in terms of it. So we need to create a way of mobilizing these solidarities to be more effective. So that is what we're really working on to trying to achieve in UK.
Mm-hmm. What is the response from people around and from the British government about this situation?
The British government is trying to be very blunt. They're trying to be very ignorant, in denial in a way sometimes, the government I'm talking about. And about a year and a half ago, when we first started sort of really launching the campaigns trying to raise an awareness of about the total new destructions of the Kurdish cities and towns and forcing over 1 million people to leave their homeland, they tend to sort of be very pro-Turkish and somehow recognizing that there is a serious situation, because now the United Nations Human Rights Commission has openly came out and issued a report to say that Turkey has caused 500,000 people to leave their homeland as a result of this offensive against the Kurdish people within last year and a half. We have, as I said earlier, we go a huge interest, and especially within the trade union movement. The trade unions movements recently, like the biggest union in UK, United, UNICEF, GMT, and as well as the Federation of General Federation of Trade Unions, took part actively in for Freedom for Öcalan's campaign. And so this was really, really important for us. We think this was one of the first, because this didn't even happen during the Mandela, when he was in prison, or the other way. It's very important that they have taken these initiatives to call for freedom for Öcalan, because Öcalan is the symbol and the founder of the ideology of the secular, democratic, progressive system which has been set up now in Rojava, and this is what we really want to set up in Bakur in Turkish Kurdistan and another region as well. So the response is really positive, but it's not enough in terms of we need to insert more pressure on the British government, and because while these destructions were going on, the British government, especially Theresa May after the Brexit, rushed, went to Turkey and signed a new military agreement which reaches to something like £400 million. This is just the beginning. In altogether, the bilateral economic or trades, wherever we interest, is something like £16 billion between Turkey and UK. So it's a huge, and because now we're going through Brexit, they don't want to, in urgent desperation of trying to increase this, so when they are eventually leaving the EU, they can benefit from this sort of agreement. So this is the lines, and we're calling on the British people and the British politicians. This is inhuman. It's against human rights obligations, international agreements, and they should. And we think we are having some success, I would say, in this, but it's not enough. We need to change the British government's minds that they can no longer continue to do so, because sooner or later, we're pretty sure about this one, as we did say about Saddam, Turkey will be tried for crime against humanities. And there are cases which are already been lodged against the Turkish president at the moment.
Do you have any, what is the relationship between the Turkish and the Kurdish in England, I mean, United Kingdom?
As a people, I'll go by some practical ways of how we could describe that. And we've had 4 elections within the last 2.5 years where, for the first time, the Kurds and the Turks who were living in UK were also allowed to participate, to cast their votes. Now, I'm really happy to say that in all those elections, we, as a Kurdish political managed to gain 60% of the total vote casted in UK. So this is the extent of the support that there is for the Kurdish people. In the last referendum, which there was a referendum in Turkey to change the constitutions in Turkey, the extent of this vote, the support, went to 85% in UK. So we could say that 85% of the people, the Kurds and the Turks who are living in UK, are totally against the current Turkish regime, which is a good news. It's a good news, but it's not been as effective in terms of inserting enough pressure on the British government to change its mind. And we're talking about like 160,000 people who are registered to vote. And this is, most of these people live in North or East London. And this is in itself, it's very influential and effective, even who we want to elect as our MP in this in UK election as well. So I think it's a force which I think even the political parties in UK have to take it very seriously now.
So in this case, in your case, you want to promote your problems, and you want our audience to listen. What you expecting from our audience? Most of them are Greeks, obviously.
Of course, the Greeks have suffered, and especially the Cypriots, in the hands of the Turkish aggression and occupations. They had a similar fate as we do. Maybe they haven't suffered as bad as we did, but they have a similar fate. Maybe it's a bit drastic, but wherever someone might not like it, but we do have a common aggressions to fight against. We have a same oppressor, and although there is a different discussions about the solutions to the Cyprus problem, until we bring about a democratic solutions to the Kurdish questions, or solution to the Kurdish questions in Turkey, the Turkish government will not allow democratic solutions to the Cypriot questions or vice versa in the area. So we really have we should have a common understanding to each other. Our problem is interconnected because our occupiers, our oppressors are the same in a way. We're not trying to be racist or cause anything, this is not what we're trying to do, but it's the reality. Our enemies are the Turkish state, it's not Turkish people, and it's the Turkish state policy which we need to expose and defeat if we want to achieve a peaceful and democratic solutions in Kurdistan, in Turkey, or in Cyprus, because we do have a common goal.
Do you think Kurdish questions are playing a big role in case of finding a good solution for the Cypriot problem?
We're exposing. I think the Kurds have been the only people who have actually now managed and show the world what sort of state the Turkish state is, how racist Turkish state is. The Turkish state is quite comfortable in calling for example, the rights of the Turkish-speaking Bulgarians. They have they're quite proud of calling for the rights of the Turkish Cypriots in Cyprus. But then they are denying the rights of 25 million, 30 million Kurds in Turkey. We still not officially recognized to have our mother tongues to be taught as a part of our educations. We're not allowed that. We're not allowed to even openly broadcast Kurdish in Turkey. We're not allowed to even advocate democratically, through democratic process, our ideas. We have now 13 of our democratically elected MPs in prison, including the co-chair of the political parties. We have 83 mayors in prison now, democratically elected mayors in prison. So what we're really doing is we're trying to tell the world how undemocratic, how fascism the Turkish regime is. So that is, in a way, by exposing the real character of the Turkish regime, is in a way having, I think, a positive effect on trying to bring about a democratic solution to the Cyprus question as well. Because we have a power and sources and millions of people who have been working trying to expose this one, and I think we are doing it's a long process, but I think we are really coming to the end to expose, and we've also already can see that the international community are not as supportive openly as they used to be. So this is a good sign, I think.
I think, in the past, I was thinking about people in Turkey like Kurdish and Turkish. They're mixed families. Are they still, what's happening with these mixed families? What is the situation and how they can, be saved and, which way to go?
Well,
in other words,
there is a risk of a separation. The Turks have always called the Kurds a separatist. No, the Turks and the Kurds have, because they have lived together as a result of the occupations, even if it means as a result of the occupations together, for almost 100 years now. The Kurds are married to a lot of Turks are married to the Kurds, so they're very much integrated. And you could say that 50% of the Kurdish population actually now live in Turkey. Now, Constantinople is the biggest Kurdish city at the moment, because we have up to 3 million people who are living in Istanbul at the moment. In the last election even, we managed to gain 11 seats in Istanbul, which is huge. Despite this, if the Turkish states continue with its aggressions and a policy of denial, there are the new generation, the Kurdish generations, who don't wish to live with the Turkish state anymore. So there are people who are asking for a democratic, maybe even independent Kurdistan. Although Öcalan says, our leader says, that we are no longer interested in a nation state. We are sort of interested in a more democratic state, sort of new approach. If you look at Syria, for example, the progress in that is more democratic, so for integrating Arabs, Assyrians, Armenians, Kurds, all to work together. So this is the new, so it's a new things, it's a new ideology, and this could be put into to work in place in Turkey. But at the moment, if the Turkey continued with its aggressions, with the destructions, with the denial of the Kurdish rights, then the younger generation at the moment is more pro separation, break away from the Turkey. So this could be another way of happening, but this is really not what we instigate. But if your enemy continues to play a hard line and be in total denial of 30 million people's rights in Turkey, then obviously there could be a separation on the horizon.
Okay, if anyone wants to help, to support you and in any way, how can they contact you? Is there any website, any numbers to give or whatever?
Yes, we do. We have recently, as explained earlier on, there are a lot of supports for the Kurdish struggles in UK, and we have We've set up a new campaign together with the Friends of the Kurdish Peoples in UK, and we set up a Kurdistan Solidarity campaign. And if they go on any websites and log into Kurdistan Solidarity campaign, they could easily find there are numbers, there are contact numbers there, where they could join and trying to see which way they could help the Kurdish struggles. Now, the Kurds are really the champions of defending the humanity in Middle East at the moment. We are, as a Kurdish people in the area, been fighting against these enemies of the humanity, the ISIS, which have been mainly supported by the Turkish state, the Qatar and Saudis. The Kurds have defeated the ISIS. We have gained more land from the ISIS than putting the whole of the world together. So this is the war that Kurds are waging. It's not just against the occupying state, but against all the other reactionaries, Islamist extremists in the areas as well. So it's really the war, the struggles of the Kurdish people is the struggle to defend humanity in the world as well. If we want to stop these terrorist attacks in EU or any other countries, and I think we really need to stop the Kurdish struggle so they can stop it before they even reach the EU or the European states or whatever. So it's really important. They need to understand. And I was also very touched that one of the first international fighters who went Syria to fight with the Kurdish people who fell down was half Greek as well, Kostas. And so it shows that there are a lot of interest there. But as we said, please, anyone wishing to sort of support or be in solidarity with the Kurdish people, the struggle of the Kurdish people, go on websites. There is campaigns, as I said, Kurdistan Solidarity campaign. Join us, and they can find our contacts there, where we will be able to provide information to them, to how they could help us.
Mr. ZINAR DEMENI, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you for having us, and we'd like to pass our regards to all your audience who've been watching us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ και εσάς. Και σε αυτό το σημείο να πω και ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ στον χορηγό μας, τον Δ. Βασίλη Μαύρου και την εταιρεία του Βαρόση Lettings. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Καληνύχτα σας. Θα είμαστε μαζί και πάλι την ερχόμενη Κυριακή, την ίδια ώρα, με ένα καινούργιο πρόσωπο ή πρόσωπα. Καληνύχτα σας.